I think they should be abolished.
It's going to be a terrible mess.
We're here in the shadow of Eton College to see what people think about Labour's plan to tax private schools. So first of all, how do you feel about private schools?
I think they should be abolished, and that we should have a state education where every child has the access to the facilities that they have.
So obviously slightly less radical approach from Labour. They're going to be adding a 20% VAT. Do you support that policy?
Very much so. They're supposed to be for charities, and they're anything but. All it's doing is saving parents money. No, it needs to be done.
And in terms of that policy then, there's been some pushback from the Tories who say that this is going to increase the strain on non-private schools, on state schools. How do you feel about that argument?
It's wrong, because my grandson attends a special educational establishment, and they will not be losing out. And if the proper investment was made throughout the state system, then there wouldn't be a problem.
How do you feel about private schools?
I think as a choice for people, they're good. There's a good option. I think many people save up lots of money to send their children to private schools, and that's their choice. I think, though, that state schools should be equally good, and I think that's one of the challenges.
Labour's new policy, this is kind of what Starmer's attempting to achieve by putting a 20% VAT tax on private schools and then trying to funnel that money back into the state school system. Do you agree with that pledge?
I think I don't have a particular problem with putting some tax on private schools, and I think I understand that. But if they're going to do it, they need to have a proper plan for the state sector, and I don't think that there's enough money going to be produced by the VAT on private schools to be able to supplement the state school to the same extent, which I know has been attempted in Greece and was a terrible mess, and I have a deep suspicion there's going to be a terrible mess with an influx of private school pupils going to state schools, and that'll be a mistake.
Do you think it's fair that Labour want to add this VAT onto private schools?
No, I don't think that's fair. I think if you earn a substantial amount of money, you pay a substantial amount of tax. It's all relevant. Yeah, and if you work hard and you're fortunate enough to have a really good education and you use this country for your own benefit, it's all there, it's free, not in the private sector, but you shouldn't, no, so I'd completely disagree with that. You're paying enough into the pot already.
I think it's fine. If that's what parents want to spend their money on, I think it's fine. But I have to say I agree with what Labour are going to do, because I just feel that there's kids in state schools, some of them are going to school hungry, and I think that's where we should probably put the money. That's my view.
Some of the argument that's come from the Tories recently has been that if this tax goes ahead, it will increase the strain on...
I do, and I get that. I really do. That is going to be a bit of a problem, but I just feel it's a bit unbalanced, and I just feel... If people want to spend their money on private school, I don't have a problem with that at all. It's just that I feel, should they be getting a tax break when there's so many kids at the other end of the scale that, are really struggling. Just feel that if this is the government that we've got now, if that's what private schools done from them, to be honest, I think it's a complete waste of money. That's how I feel. If that's the best you can do, you're paying for that, really?
I think it might affect some families deeply, especially parents that have struggled for their children with their education primarily in mind. Disaster struck with some close friends of mine who've got 2 children in private education. One child was taken ill and one parent had to give up work to take care of the child. Even though the tax may attack the salaries of the parents, ultimately it's not putting children first.
And do you think that child would lose out going to a state school rather than going to private school?
Absolutely, because they have a specialist, they had a scholarship due to the specialist, and so therefore it would too, because that opportunity wouldn't be offered to them in the state school system.
What do you think about Labour's pledge to tax private schools?
I think it's unacceptable.
Why do you think it's unacceptable?
Because there'll be more children going from private school to the state school, so you'll have very, very big classes. It'll be a nightmare, and it's so cruel to the children as well, because they've made friends. They might get picked on when they go to state school because of where they've come from.
Do you imagine lots of people then won't be able to afford the private school fees anymore with that additional VAT?
I think it's probable, yeah. Yes, I mean, some parents, they really save and save, work harder, do another job. There's only so much you can raise.
I don't mind private schools, but they get lots of perks that other schools don't get.
So how do you feel about Keir Starmer's pledge to put a 20% VAT on private schools?
Well, it'd be good if it worked, but I'm not sure whether the hierarchy will allow it to work.
In what way?
Well, because the people that are high up in the country have got a lot of sway with businesses, all sorts of stuff, so they can block it, you know.
One of the big questions around this debate has been that currently most private schools are registered as charities. Do you guys conceive of private schools as charities?
I don't, and I think that's wrong as well, because it's another loophole, basically, isn't it? That's what they're, how they get out of it. I think it's a good idea.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not going to make the Eton broke or anything like that, because it's well supported. But I think if everybody, and I'm not against people making money, the big companies, but if they could share a bit more, that's all you want. You don't want to bankrupt anybody, just share a bit more.